Hey guys, Sarak here, and today I'm bringing you my latest budget build, and this is Phantom Knights. Now, Phantom Knights has become really popular over the past couple of formats with the addition of the Adventurer engine and DPE. Obviously, we can't play those in this, because they are ridiculously expensive. So I've cut out as much of the expensive stuff as I can, and I've put together a deck that I hope you'll really enjoy playing and be amazed at how cheap it is. And obviously, with the upgrades being DPE and the Adventurer engine, if you enjoy the deck, you can easily upgrade later down the line. So, let's begin with 3 copies of Phantom Knight of Torn Scales. Torn Scales is the newest Phantom Knight from Phantom Rage. You can discard a card, send a Phantom Knight card from your deck to your graveyard, except itself, and then if another Phantom Knight in your graveyard is banished while it's in your graveyard, special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. This card does so much for the deck. It's a decent normal summon, it fills your grave, helps unclog your hand, and puts whatever name you need in the grave. It sends spells and traps, and it sends the monsters, and it only cares if another card is banished. Also, if it summons with its own effect, it doesn't negate the effect, so you don't need to worry about normal summoning it to get the first effect. It's fine if you revive it. But remember, all of the Phantom Knights are hard once per turn on their effects. We then have 3 copies of the Phantom Knight of Silent Boots. Now, Boots, if you control a Phantom Knight monster, you can special summon it from your hand. And then, if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to search a spell and trap. So this is a really good card for searching Shade Brigandine or Fogblade, if that's what you need. It's an extender from the hand, which is really important for this deck. This deck really relies on getting a critical mass of level 3 bodies onto the field to be able to go into your links like Bardiche and your Xyz monsters. It helps you search copies of the rank up spell, Shade Brigandine, Wing, all of those cards. It gives you fuel for discarding for Torn Scales by searching those cards that you can then pitch to send something else to the graveyard, to revive Torn Scales, to set up the graveyard with those graveyard trap effects. So there's just a whole host of different things that Silent Boots allows you to do. We then have 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. Ancient Cloak, if it's in attack position, allows you to target a dark monster on the field, change it to defense, and then give that monster 800 attack and defense until the end of the opponent's turn. Rarely comes up, but can be very nice for securing OTKs. And then you can banish it from the graveyard and search the Phantom Knights card. So this one searches the monsters. Okay. So this will often search you your copy of Silent Boots, etc. Finally, for the one of Phantom Knights, we play 1 Ragged Gloves. Ragged Gloves is a Foolish Burial, so we're usually sending it with something like Torn Scales or Bardiche to again remove it from the deck, let us send other things from the deck, and continue to build up our graveyard so we can almost utilise our graveyard like a second hand. Still a very useful card, and you would regret not running the 1 copy. 1 copy is pretty much mandatory. Our final Phantom Knight in the main deck is Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. Now, Stained Greaves is a bit of a funny Phantom Knight because it doesn't special summon, it doesn't have the traditional Phantom Knight effects. If a Phantom Knight is special summoned to your field, special summon this card from your hand, then increase the level of this card by 1. That level increase is optional. And then you can banish this card from the graveyard, special summon this card, special summon 1 Phantom Knights monster from the hand, and increase its level by 1. Again, that is optional, the level increase. This is usually not the best Phantom Knight insert in most situations, but in the situations where you have a cloggy hand full of lots of normal summons, and you need to get Phantom Knights out of your hand, Stained Greaves really helps in getting those out of your hand, basically. It's just very useful at unclogging your hand and unbricking you. And again, because you have so many ways of putting them into your graveyard, it's very easy to get it into the graveyard to use its effect. We then have 3 copies of everyone's favourite level 3 tour guide from the Underworld. I'm really sad I don't have 3 matching arts, or secret rares, or ultimate rare Italian tour guides. But alas, we cannot have everything. We know what tour guide does. It's been a staple in multiple formats. When it's normal summon, special summon a fiend, level 3 fiend from hand or deck, but negate its effect, cannot be used as synchro material. No one cares about that last line because we're not playing any synchros. This card obviously is a 1-card Cherubini. It can be very easy. It's very easy to get everything you need onto the board. It gets your BA part of the deck going. Also remember, it can search itself. If you've used your BA part of the deck and you top deck another tour guide, you can search a tour guide with this and still make a rank 3 or a link monster. Very important card. Absolutely wonderful card. We know what tour guide is. For the BA part of the deck, we are just playing 2. You do not need to play multiple copies of these. They will brick. Graff and Seer, we ideally never want to see these in any hands ever, because we just want to be summoning them off tour guide and then using them to abuse Cherubini. Graff special summons from the deck, and Seer special summons from the graveyard. So our usual thing is tour guide, special summon Graff, link into Cherubini. Graff will then special summon Seer from the deck, and Cherubini will ensure that Seer does not die if you then summon something else, and then you link them off and use Graff's effect to revive the Cherubini to continue your plays. Or sometimes you make Dante, and then you can mill to further set up your graveyard. For other level 3 extenders, we play 1 each of the 2 psychic monsters. We're playing Emergency Teleport in this deck, so we want access to the psychic monsters. They also have very, very easy to fulfill normal summoning conditions. The only reason we play the different names is on occasions where we draw both of them. We'd rather they have the different names, then we can special summon them both. 2 copies of Kagamucha Knight. This card is amazing with Tour Guide because if you normal summon a level 3 monster, you can special summon this from your hand. That will chain block the Tour Guide. It's a level 3, it's a warrior, so it's searchable. It's very, very good in the deck. But again, we only really need to find 3 copies because we don't need 3 copies because we have so many easy to summon level 3s in the deck. And sometimes you're not using your normal summon until much later in the turn. 1 copy of Junk Forward. This is a Cyber Dragon, only it doesn't rely on your opponent needing to control a monster. This is one of the best openings you can get with Rota, but the main reason we're only playing 1 is because we only want to ever see it turn 1, usually with Rota. We never ever want to draw it later in the game because if our board gets broken, we probably can't rebuild from there. Then finally, for our level 3 monsters, we play a small danger package. Now you do have to play both of them. Be aware my Jackalope is in German. Don't worry, you've not suddenly forgotten how to read. Sneck summons itself if it's the card discarded. If it's the card not discarded, sorry. If it's the card discarded, and Jackalope will summon Sneck from deck. Obviously, if they are the ones that are discarded, they special summon and draw you a card. Very, very easy to use level 3 extenders. Also, again, helps to put cards that you don't want in your hand into the bin, so you can then banish them and use their effects. For our hand traps, we are playing 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This is a level 3 Psychic, which means we can summon it with Emergency Teleport. And it's also really good against the Adventurer engine because it stops Fateful Adventure from giving them so much advantage. Other than that, that's why we're playing it. It's a level 3 Psychic. It turns Emergency Teleport into a pseudo-interruption on its own. It means we always have targets for E-Telly, and it's just a really good generic hand trap at the moment. And it's level 3. Then our final hand traps are everyone's favourite 3 Effect Veiler. Again, it's the cheapest one. It's still really, really good. And you'd be daft not to play it. 3 copies of Emergency Teleport because it's at 3. We have a Psychic package in the deck that we can use, so we may as well use it. The Psychics, obviously, there's little more to say about that. Again, we have Ghost Ogre for extra Psychics and turning E-Tele into a semi-interruption by itself. 1 Phantom Knight Rank Up Magic Force. This is obviously a very useful rank up card that can get us to our rank 5s. It's a quick play, obviously, which means we can use it on our opponent's turn, which can sometimes just give us a surprise negate. And it can also put its... just remember, it locks you into Xyz monsters after it resolves. So don't end up using this before you use something like an IP Masquerena. 1 Foolish Burial, because setting up the graveyard is good, so use the Foolish Burial. 1 Rotor, because all the Phantom Knights are warriors, Kagamucha Knights are warrior, Junk Forward is a warrior, most of the deck is warriors, Search Warriors, good. 1 Called by the Grave, because hand traps suck, and I wish this card was banned, so we didn't have to play it in every single deck. Finally, for our trap cards, we have 3 Fogblade. Now, Fogblade is sort of like a Fiendish Chain, only you can't target that monster as well. Obviously, it's very, very useful with things like Breaksword. It stops your opponents from making their plays by negating their effects, protects you from being OTK'd, and it has a very, very useful effect in the graveyard that allows you to summon any Phantom Knights monster in your graveyard, at the cost of banishing it when it leaves the field. Remember, that can be done on your opponent's turn. It is a trap effect, it is spell speed 2. Similarly, we play 1 Phantom Knight Sword. This has basically the same graveyard effect as Fogblade. We do not really care about the attack gain and protection effect, although it does very occasionally come up, but mainly this is just a card that we dump to the graveyard and use to revive, say, a Breaksword on our opponent's turn to get a pop and get more bodies to make a unicorn or something with IP Masquerena, or on our turn, so we can go into... Again, so we can bring back a Breaksword, blow it up, bring any, make rank 4s, make a rank 4, make a Zeus, etc. And then our final trap card is 1 Shade Brigandine. This is going to be a frequent set of our Rusty Bardiche. In more competitive versions of this deck, this is often used in conjunction with Link Spider to ensure you always have material to make a Verte. In this deck, it's just an extra piece of extension we can use with our level 4s and rank 4 Xyz monsters. So, for the extra deck, we have 1 Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche, 2+ Dark Monsters, cannot be used as link material, do not forget that. Do not try link this card off. During your main phase, send 1 Phantom Knights monster from your deck to your graveyard, then set 1 Phantom Knight spell trap directly from your deck. Note, the send is part of the effect. If this card gets impermed, you do not get the send, you do not get the set. While this card is on the field, if a Xyz monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, destroy 1 card on the field. You can use this to blow up your own Breaksword. You can also use this to break your opponent's board in response to banishing something like a Fogblade from your deck. This is one of the mainstays of getting interruption with this deck. Also, the fact that it sets a Shade Brigandine for extension or a Fogblade for interruption is incredibly strong. We play 2 Phantom Knights of Breaksword. This card is the main rank 3 you'll be going into. Once per turn, detach 1 material from this card, target 1 card you control and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them. If this Xyz summoned card is destroyed, target 2 the Phantom Knights monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them and increase their levels by 1. Note, if you summon this with Fogblade back to a zone Rusty points to, and then you destroy it with Rusty, you will not get its effect. Very important. because it was not Xyz summoned. It has to be Xyz summoned. But this is the main way we make our rank 4s, and again, it gives us a lot of extra interruption using cards like Rusty Bardiche. 1 Cherubini, this is the mainstay of the deck, and the first thing you'll be making most of the time. The main reason is it sends as a cost. So it cannot be Ash Blossomed, it cannot be Veiled, it cannot be Impermed. You can always pay costs. You don't care about the attack modulating effect. The destroying by card effects is relevant when you need to combo through and leave a Seer on the field whilst you do other things, but it is usually able to be played around. But other than that, it's a staple in the deck. It's the first thing you make for a reason, in that it just gets every single thing out of your deck that you need. 1 Dante, another easy to make rank 3, again, helps you fill the graveyard, helps you loop things like Seer or Cherubini. Helps you loop Seer. Sorry, not Cherubini, because it adds back to hand. And generally can attack over a lot of relevant things by just being a 2500 beater if you mill 3 things. 1 Raiders Knight, this is how we rank up into some things. It's one of the rank 4s we can get. If we make Arc Rebellion with this, Arc Rebellion can't be destroyed by card effects, which makes this very, very good. Other than that, it's a free rank up spell that we can make from the extra deck. 1 Dark Rebellion and 1 Dark Requiem. We are only playing this to make this. This is one of the things we'll make going first. It's an Omni Negate that allows you to detach... it's a negate from monster effects, not an Omni Negate, but also allows you to special summon a Xyz monster from your graveyard, which can be incredibly valuable in, again, targeting things like Rusty Bardiche to get an extra pop and so on. 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. This Xyz summoned card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Detach material, it gains attack equal to the total original attack of all other monsters on the field. If it has a Dark Xyz monster on the field, as material, negate the effects of all other face-up monsters on the field, and then you can only attack with it. This is your OTK machine. This is how we win the game. Number, go big, hit hard, win game. Simple as. We make it with Raiders Knight, we make it with the rank up spell. 1 IP Masquerena, which allows us to make Nightmare Unicorn. You know what these two do by now. Masquerena allows you to link in your opponent's turn, then it can't be destroyed by card effects. Unicorn spins any card on summon. This is another mainstay of interruption that we have in this deck. We then have some generic Xyz monsters. We have 1 Leviair the Sea Dragon, fantastic extender for the deck, allowing us to special summon any banished level 4 or lower monster. All of our monsters we're banishing are level 3, so just special summon it with Leviair. It's as simple as that. We then have some rank 4s. We have 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. Note this requires dark monsters. Some of your monsters that you might summon are not dark. Namely things like the... Actually, you'll only ever be making this with Phantom Knight cards, so completely ignore that. But it allows you to flip special summoned monsters to face down defense position. Again, very useful against things like that require you to use face up cards. Very good against pendulum decks and so on. 1 Abyss Dweller, because some decks just cannot play through an Abyss Dweller. If you go first against the Mirror, they will really struggle to play through an Abyss Dweller because all of their effects activate in the graveyard. It's really that simple. And then finally, for this deck, 1 Zeus, because sometimes you just need to nuke the board. And it really is, again, that simple. So, that is Phantom Knight. I really hope you enjoyed that deck. It's very different to, obviously, the deck that is seeing lots of play at the moment. And if you wanted to move up, I would consider getting the DPE and the Scythe package first, as they are the ones that will give you the most. They are cheaper than the Adventurer engine, and I think they're considerably less likely to get hit currently but who knows? But I would definitely get that before the Adventurer engine. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.